Welcome to Weird Around Illinois. We are here with probably the woman with the most mispronounced name in cryptozoology. I'm going to attempt it. It's Shetan Noir. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you. And she is a cryptozoologist, author, paranormal researcher, the owner and head writer of Squatch GQ magazine, and author of several books on basically every topic I've ever wanted to read about. Did I miss anything?
Probably not, because I don't know what all you're interested in, but I betcha I can talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're interested in everything. Really, anything around Illinois counts.
And even one non-weird thing that I saw that you wrote a book about. I see that you're really into like rocks and kind of buried treasures and things like that. So go ahead.
So I had a brief magazine series called Rocktown Prospector Magazine, but I've quickly found out that people are only interested in reading about certain things, and if you don't have something on the cover that's like current and really sought after, nobody's going to pay to buy the magazine and read it. So it was a short-lived run magazine. Might pick it up in a year or two, but I'm kind of burnt out from the magazine business because certainly myself, I did all the work myself, from writing the articles and taking pictures, driving to locations, to editing and formatting and loading everything up on Amazon and taking it to conventions. So right now I'm on a little bit of a hiatus from doing the magazine.
That's understandable. It's a very weird kind of time we're in when, people will read 10,000 articles on the internet, but they won't pick up a paper magazine or even picking up a digital copy of a magazine. People are a little reluctant these days. It's a tough business.
And I found that that's very much the case, unless it's a very well-known author who's, creating a book or magazine, or it's a very, like the magazine has like one of the celebrities on it from like the paranormal world or cryptid world, which is becoming a smaller and smaller like circle of people to pull from. Like I've had Ace Ford on the cover of Squatch GQ 2 times now. And it's just like you keep getting a smaller and smaller group to pull from, and it's like people only want to buy those issues with those big names on it, and the rest of your magazine has better content in them, sit there and nobody buys them.
That's
so
disappointing.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Society has become such that it's like, oh, you expect us to pay for something? And it's like, yes, because I put time and effort into creating this for you. They just want to go online and click and read it for free.
Yeah, the whole YouTube world and social media definitely changed journalism a ton. So, yeah.
It has.
And AI is changing it again. I mean, how many even the YouTube videos and videos I watch on Tubi and stuff now, sometimes we just look at each other and say, okay, that's AI.
Yeah. And it's, and I keep on I kick myself. I'm like, I follow different YouTubers, and I'm like, if I would have started my YouTube channel like 5 years ago, I could be making what they make and living off of it. But you have to fall into that niche group. Like, people want to believe the cryptid stuff. They want to believe the paranormal stuff. But there's so much AI and fake stuff out there, and so much creepypasta. Like, for the last 3 years, because I do field investigations and paranormal research, I force myself to listen to some of these creepy podcasts so that I can pick out okay, that might be true, that might be real, this one's definitely fake.
Right. Yeah, it's getting hard to tell, but hey, at least now we can talk about some real cryptids. Or what we think are real cryptids anyway. One of the things that struck me when I was listening to one of your interviews with Barnaby Jones, for those of you who don't know, Barnaby Jones is the head of CAPS, or one of the key people in CAPS in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The Cryptid and Paranormal Society, is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and he does a couple of different podcasts and does public speaking and is an all-around good guy and very, very knowledgeable on all of these topics. But he's interviewed you a few times, and one of the things that struck me is you were talking about how you are interested in cryptids and their interaction with the natural world. And
yeah,
I certainly heard you talk about that a lot with like lake monsters and things like that, which I know are, a particular specialty of yours. But it got me to thinking about this video we did in 2023, and it was a short one, but the Canadian wildfires, it was the worst year of Canadian wildfires ever. There were like 15 million hectares of forest burned down. So the smoke was everywhere. And we were kind of thinking, where's Bigfoot going? Because, we've always believed that Bigfoot is, much more abundant or much more easy to find in the deep woods of Canada and Alaska. And it just kind of led me to think you would probably be someone who has a thought on that. So have you ever thought about it?
Certainly I do. And those Canadian wildfires were very close and actually invading and becoming a threat in northern Minnesota. Now, my mom works in northern Minnesota at the North American Bear Center. She's the bear curator there. And the wildfires up there became such a threat that they had to put in plans of how they would move their black bears from the center and get them on the road away if the fire came into Ely. And she said it was a daily thing watching these big tankers, like air tankers, come in and just dumping water. Now, as the crows fly, they're not that far from Lake Superior, but still, it takes time to go to Lake Superior, scoop up that water, come back, dump it, and even though they're dumping it, not all of that water makes it down onto the fire. It spreads out. It doesn't always hit its target. So while this whole process is going on, you've got fires. The smoke was so bad that even down here where we are in Michigan, it was overcast.
Yeah, we were seeing it in Illinois and Wisconsin.
Yeah, and you were going outside and you're like, man, is it going to rain? And no, it's actually, this is the effect from all that forest fire smoke up there in Canada and Minnesota. So the animals were also acting quite, off. They were disappearing or they were staying close to people's houses. With the houses being maybe a kind of protection because, people were trying to keep their houses from catching on fires. I do believe I was up there that summer for a brief period of time in 2023. And it was interesting because she has black bears around her house and you can interact with the black bears. I would feed them marshmallows and stuff like that. And the black bears didn't seem to notice. Like, they didn't seem to notice that the sky had changed and that it was overcast.
Interesting.
And them being animals, it's not until the fire is right there that they start to run. Like, they literally have to see, feel, smell the fire for it to become a threat.
Okay.
But your Sasquatches, if they are as intelligent as we perceive them as, I believe that they started to take notice of this. They probably noticed that there was a different smell in the air. And if they have any knowledge of, like, campfires or anything like that, they know what fire does.
Right.
So if they recognize that smell in the air of, that's smoke, that might be fire, because they know what a campfire is, because people go out into the woods, they make campfires to cook their food, and then that's how we get forest fires. I would like to believe that the Bigfoot would have started moving closer to large water sources with more vegetation and coverage around them. Because a water source means they can go out into the water, they can avoid that fire. But that vegetation they also need to hide from humans.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is the Sasquatches and even Dogman are going to move towards water sources for protection in keeping them from getting caught on fire. Now, if they're in areas where there is no large amount of bodies of water, which is like in Minnesota, that's kind of like eating Swiss, like looking for a Swiss cheese without holes in it.
Right.
You know, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, we've got lakes every 10 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So they were pretty well protected with all the water sources. But what happens when your prey animals die in the fires? And what they normally would eat, now that population of prey is gone and isn't going to come back until the green grass comes in the next year, or the new foliage and plants and everything in the next year. They're going to go to different areas to find that food. And what I always tell people when they say, oh, do we have Bigfoots in our area? Do we have Dogman in our area? If you have farms, whether it's livestock farm or it's an agricultural farm like corn, wheat, anything like that, your apex predators are going to migrate to those farms, to those orchards, because that means prey animals. That's where your deer are going to go. That's where your rabbits are going to go. That's where your raccoons, possums, all of that, turkeys are going to go, because the farms have an abundance of food. And that's what those animals are counting on. So your Bigfoots and your Dogmen are just going to migrate to an area where they know a seasonal crop takes place and there's an abundance of it.
You see, all that makes sense, and that was kind of what we were expecting. We were thinking that they'd move closer to human populations, closer to safe areas, and maybe a general migration south, as most of the fires were north. But what we were waiting for was this flood of sightings of Bigfoot and Dogman as there were more of these forced interactions with people. And I don't know if they just went unreported, but I didn't really see that uptick that I was looking for in 2023.
Well, it depends on, so in order for a sighting report to take place, one, the person who has the sighting has to make it back to society and has to report it to somebody. Now, if they don't report it, then we don't have any sightings report. But if these are intelligent beings that are apex predators, generally they're going to be on the move at night.
True.
During the summertime, it's cooler at night. They're not going to expend as much energy at night because of it being cooler. Generally, if they're walking through vegetation, by the time it's like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. in the morning and the dew's lifted off the grass, you're not going to see their prints. You're not going to see where they walked through.
Okay.
Unless they're intentionally breaking, stalks or making a path. So if they're traveling at night, a lot of people are not out walking their fields, walking their yards at night.
Mm-hmm.
One, we don't like getting eaten by mosquitoes.
Right.
So it's easier for these big bipedal creatures to travel at night. We know that they have their vision at night. So if they're traveling at night, and a lot of people, when they do have sightings, it is either at dawn or dusk.
Yeah, we've noticed that. That makes a lot of sense. And the other thing, of course, you mentioned that the big predators would want to stick close to the water sources, and water sources are always surrounded by these rings of trees or clumps of woods or thick thick brush or whatever. We've always theorized that Dogman is using the river system for his migratory pattern, which is how you can have him in such a widespread area across the entire Midwest. And this would just be a heightened version of that, with more cryptids running along those riverways and big waterways.
I was thinking maybe that could possibly explain why Dogman sighted like at Bray Road, or used to be sighted, because it has like a whole lot of corn growing there. Maybe that's why Dogman goes there.
Yes. Oh, it's a perfect location because the corn crop draws in the deer, and the deer draw in the Dogman and the Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. Now, you suggested something, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but just while I'm thinking of it, in another interview, I heard you suggest something that I had never heard from anyone else. You had suggested that Dogman may not be strictly a carnivore. He might actually be an omnivore. And when necessary, he might actually eat some of those crops or fallen fruit or something like that. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes. Just like Bigfoot's an omnivore. Mm-hmm. They take advantage of whatever food sources are available to them. So, if you watch bears will take advantage of berries, nuts, larvae, sometimes newborn fawns if they find them dead, the marrow in their bones. They will take advantage of all that different type of food. Now, they have to eat a lot of it, but that's how you get a 400-pound black bear. Mm-hmm. They don't discriminate. They eat whatever berries are available. They eat whatever nuts are available. Same way with your Bigfoot and your Dogman. They're not going to pass up blackberries or blueberries or walnuts that are sitting there when they know that they can eat it and it's good for their digestive system. Mm. So even wolves, even canines, who everybody classifies as a carnivore, if you put chicken and carrots and strawberries and bananas and sweet potato in a bowl and give it to a wolf, they're going to eat that whole thing.
Devour that. So that's good logic. So with that, from my perspective, I'd assume then both Bigfoot and Dogman, they'd both have good adaptability. So, would that be correct then?
I believe so. If you look at the territory of like a gray wolf can do 30 miles in one day. And that can take them from swamp to prairie to woods to like rocky or sandy beaches, depending on where their territory is. So if you're looking at, like, let's say a family of Bigfoot, they're going to stake an area out because it's going to be females with young. And there will be one male who services them for a while, and then they're going to chase them out so that they can get a different male in. But those females are going to know within a matter of a month what's available in their territory. And they're going to know in a year what comes up, what's available throughout that year. Now, they will generally stick in that territory. And the only time that changes is when Dogmen move into the area. Then the clan of Bigfoot will take all of their members and they will move somewhere else. And it's because of the Dogmen work like a pack and will target the young or the old in the Bigfoot clan.
Now, I didn't even realize this when I first started listening to your podcasts or your appearances on podcasts. You're actually the head of the Dogman Project, the North American Dogman Project for Michigan. Is that right?
I am the lead investigator for the Michigan chapter of the North American Dogman Project, yes.
Okay. That was probably our most, well, aside from Bray Road, our most intense dogman search actually took place in Michigan last year. We ended up on this large hiking trail that runs by Grand Rapids. And there'd been a few sightings there, and that there was one in particular that kind of jumped out at us, and it was from this guy named Bob, who lived just outside of Grand Rapids, and he had told a story about dogmen who were actually moving from treetop to treetop. And he shared his story on a couple different podcasts and with a few different investigators. I was just wondering if you were one of the people who had talked to him, or who had investigated his case.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I have not talked to him. I'm trying to picture a dog man moving from, you said rooftop to rooftop or treetop?
Treetop to treetop, like tree to tree.
Yeah. So I kind of have a hard time with that one because your typical dog man is just a leaner version of the Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And for it to be jumping from tree to tree, that's going to be quite noticeable. Not very stealthy.
Right. Yeah. I
mean, you're telling me that a 300-pound animal jumping from tree top to tree top, and nobody's noticing these trees like flopping back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely caught our eye, and as a very unusual story, and that was why that was one of them in particular that we went to check out when we were there. We didn't find Dogman. We didn't find any evidence of Dogman or Bigfoot, but what we did find is that there's a lot of thick woods around there. It seems like everywhere we go, the woods are thicker than we expect.
Yeah, we've got some pretty thick forests here in Michigan, which is prime habitat for both Sasquatch and Dogman, and even more so up. The more northern you go in Michigan, even up into the UP, the higher your chances of seeing something are.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard, and same thing with Minnesota. I heard when you go like way up north, like close to the Canadian border, there are tons of Bigfoot sightings up there.
Yeah, Ely, Minnesota is only like they share boundary waters with Canada. Mm-hmm.
That was actually where we were originally going last year, and we changed our minds at the last minute. So that's going to have to be our future visit. Ely, Minnesota was the exact town.
Instead, in 2023 summer, we actually went to Trempealeau, right?
Oh, in 2023 we did. You're right.
Yeah.
I think that was the year we were looking at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will say about our trip to Michigan. I should ask first, so I don't offend you. Are you a vegetarian by any chance?
No.
Okay, then I can say this without fear of offending you. We discovered the best hamburger we ever ate in our lives, and it was a place called Bigfoot Burger in Grand Rapids. If you're ever in that area, I highly recommend it because it's the whole place is Bigfoot themed, and that was what drew us in. But then when we actually ate it, it was like, wow, this is incredible.
There's a place up in Ely called, I believe it's Stony Creek, and they have a Bigfoot burger, and I think it's 5 pounds.
Oh wow!
And it's like one of those food challenges that you have to eat the whole thing. I've never seen anybody do it. When I go up there, I usually get the Juicy Lucy and call it good.
Yeah, I'm at a point in my life where I'm not so much into volume as I am flavor. There was a time when I would have attacked that 5-pounder with gusto, but now I'm trying to be a little bit more reserved.
I bet the three of us can take it though.
I can already feel my stomach hurting looking at that. No, thank you.
Yeah.